All right, today we have some skill-based strategies that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a plan A, a plan B, and then a plan C for when those other things just don't quite pan out. But I'm going to title this Secret Ninja Plan C. So our secret ninja is going to come into play when our plan A and our plan B don't quite work out. So I'm going to start with plan A. Something that we are familiar with, things that we've used before. So for example, if we are going to work with our ratio tables, our plan A was when things just work seamlessly. For example, if we say that 3 monkeys on average eat 7 bananas. So monkeys and bananas, 3 monkeys eat 7 bananas. And my question is, well, how many bananas will 9 monkeys eat? All right, so I'm trying to find bananas. Plan A, we are looking for the path of least resistance, right? Can I go from what I know to what I don't know fairly easily? And we can, because 3 times what gives us 9? Times 3. So I'm going to multiply both my top and my bottom by 3, creating equivalent fractions in my proportion, and end up with 21, right? So my final answer would be 21 bananas. We love plan A because we're really just doing something we already know how to do. We're working with equivalent fractions. It's really just multiplication facts. But numbers aren't perfect. So if this scenario doesn't quite pan out, we move on to plan B, which isn't much different than this. But let's say this time, instead of monkeys and bananas, we work with apples and horses. So apples and horses. So let's say that we have 15 apples for 12 horses. Okay. How many apples do we need for 16 horses? Okay, path of least resistance. Can I go from 12 to 16? Go from what we know to what we don't. It doesn't quite work out. All right, not a big deal. Do our verticals work? Can we go from 12 to 15? From what we know to what we don't? And again, we can't, but we rely on something we already know. Ratios are just fancy fractions. That's it. So if this is just a fancy fraction, then all we need to try is simplifying it, right? What can I divide 15 and 12 by? We can divide them both by 3. 15 divided by 3 gives us 5. 12 divided by 3 gives us 4. So we pause. Can we use that new simplified fraction to help us scale up? And we can. 4 times what gives us 16? Times 4. So 5 times 4 gives us 20. We're going to need 20 apples. Okay, so our plan B, again, it was just relying on stuff we know. It's a ratio, just a fancy fraction. We can simplify it. Plan B is awesome, and we like plan B because it's just a little bit more work. But is it always going to work? We wish, but alas, no. There are so many numbers. So instead, dun, 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 here comes our secret ninja, plan C. All right, so for example, let's say that I'm baking cookies and I love oatmeal chocolate chip. So oatmeal chocolate chip, and my husband, I don't know, he likes all cookies, but let's just say he wants peanut butter cookies. Peanut butter cookies. All right, so oatmeal chocolate chip and peanut butter. Let's say for every 10 oatmeal chocolate chip, because let's get real, if I like cookies, I will eat a whole bunch of them. Oatmeal chocolate chip, for every 10 of those, I make 3 peanut butter. on average, roughly. So what if I've made 28 oatmeal chocolate chip? How am I going to figure out how many peanut butter cookies I've made? If we try plan A to go from what we know to what we don't, well, it doesn't quite work out. I can't get from 10 to 28 very easily. Maybe you can think of a decimal, cool if you do, but we can't always make that happen. And I can't go from 10 to 3. So our plan C is actually pretty awesome because it'll actually work on even the problems we did with plan A and plan B. It's not always the most efficient. That's why we want to use it really only if we have to, but it does work literally every single time. The way that it works is quite simple. You might have even heard of it before. We are going to cross multiply and then divide by what's left. So step 1, cross multiply. And that sounds like exactly what we're going to do. We are going to multiply our numbers that are across from one another. So our first step is to do 28 times 3, which equals 84. So we cross multiply, and then our second step is to divide by what is left. So what I mean by that is we just cross multiplied our crisscrosses. We're going to divide by what's left. Well, what number is left? 10. So we're going to take what we got earlier, 84, and we're going to divide it by 10. We love dividing by our base 10s because we're just going to move our decimal place back 1, 8, and 4/10. So for every 28 oatmeal chocolate chip cookies I make, I am going to make 8 and 4/10 peanut butter cookies. Now I know that sounds weird. So in most questions you would probably round this, although I have totally made half cookies before, right? If you have that extra little bit of dough. But depending on your scenario, especially if you're talking about people, you might round this number. But you are going to get decimals in your ratio table quite often if you are using this method, if plan A and plan B don't quite pan out. All right, so let's try another one on the next page, our Secret Ninja stuff. So Secret Ninja continued, right? This is plan C. If we have something like, I don't know, the percentage of people that are eating ice cream, I don't know, cookies and ice cream. All right, people that are eating ice cream out of everybody, so the total of people. Let's say that we've got, I don't know, 14% of people right this very second in Austin, Texas are eating ice cream. It's cold. Probably not a lot of people. Although, debatable. When it's cold, that's really the best time to eat ice cream because then it doesn't melt. Anyway, ice cream, people eating ice cream out of our total people, 14%. Percents are out of 100. And let's say that 14% of people eating ice cream, there's 320 people eating ice cream. And the question is, how many people total are we talking about? Well, if I go from what I know to what I don't, I'm not going to be able to get from 14 to 320. I'm not going to be able to get from 14 to 100, so we employ our plan B. Our first step, remember, is to cross multiply. So we're going to multiply 320 times 100. We love our base 100 because all we're going to do is move the decimal place over twice or add 2 zeros. So we've got 32,000. Second, right, it's cross multiply and divide. We're going to divide by what's left. So that's 32,000 divided by 14. All right, I'm not going to work that out because we all know how to divide, but we are going to get something pretty close to this, 2,285 and 7/10. So depending on what your question is asking, you might leave that in decimal form, or you might have to make the choice of either rounding down, depending on if you're talking about whole people, or having to round up. It just depends on your scenario and what makes the most logical sense. So for now, I'm gonna just go ahead and leave it as a rounded answer, so I'm gonna round it up. That's going to be my final answer for this one, and I'm going to put approximately that. All right, so again, we had to employ plan C because plan A, just scaling up, isn't going to work. And I couldn't employ plan B because even if I simplified this, I still wouldn't have been able to scale it up.